going hard on a Wednesday. Every day is a heartache.
Mike, great talking to you, my friend. Before we started speaking, we were just sort of reminiscing very quickly. I kind of stopped you because the last time we spoke, I do believe, was either last year or like a year and a half. And it was a great conversation because we were talking about, you know, you like saxophone, how much you enjoyed it, the artists you performed with, getting into pop music. My friend, from when we spoke then, it's a completely different world to what it is today. How are you handling everything that's going on now with the coronavirus, people being shut down? I mean, the world is finally looking at the world of racism. I mean, it's completely different from the things that, you know, we were discussing and talking about in the past.
Yeah, you're right. And I think we spoke almost 1 year ago, and 2019 was terrific. You know, we were going up and up and up and up and up, and then, you know, then came the Australian fires, and then came Kobe Bryant, and I was living in Los Angeles at the time for that, and then, of course, came this pandemic, you know, coronavirus, and then now, you know, George Floyd, and, you know, of course, we're dealing with this war on racism, which I think is a good thing, finally. But, you know, 2020 has been quite the year, Rudy. It's been quite the year.
It definitely has. And for your career, because, you know, what's also affected, too, is the music industry. Whereas, you know, this is the summer. People would have had tons of tickets in their pockets going to all these different shows, whether it be big venues or clubs or anything like that. We can't go out there right now. And it's not even sure if we can do it by the end of the year or even next year or until there's a vaccine for this. How are you holding up not being able to actually go out there and perform?
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I mean, the two things really that have changed the way that I'm doing what I do are, of course, coronavirus, and then also what's happening right now in America and the world. You know, coronavirus obviously canceled all the shows. I had a tour lined up for my new EP coming out this summer, coming out in a few weeks, actually. And, you know, that was all canceled. And to be honest, you know, I'm definitely the type of person who takes things and deals with them pretty quickly. And I wasn't doing too badly with the coronavirus at the start, just because I turned everything online. I started, you know, answering every single fan that messaged me. And now it's kind of, you know, social media has become something I do for a few hours a day, just trying to answer, you know, anywhere in between 100 and 300 messages daily, and just kind of having conversations with the fan base and building a community online. I think that's something that I didn't do before because I was so focused on the music and the live show. And now, of course, your focus turns elsewhere. And then, you know, of course, a couple of weeks ago, you know, when I saw the video of George Floyd, I stopped posting everything on my socials. I just didn't feel it was appropriate to do so. And, you know, I've just started to educate myself on what I can do as far as, you know, protesting, donating, getting involved, educating myself. So that's completely changed the game.
Well, my friend, the game still continues musically, too, because as you've mentioned, you have a new EP out, my friend. What's the new EP called? And when did you actually record this?
Yeah, so the EP is coming out on June 26th, so it's so soon, a couple of weeks away, I think, and it's called You Wrote These Songs. And I kind of recorded it over the duration of the last year, so since we spoke last, I think since we spoke last, I only had one single out, which was my first, which was called Close, and that one luckily made it to radio and actually ended up hitting number 40 in the country, which was awesome, and kind of, you know, a platform for me to start my career and start releasing singles. And now it's time to put a body of work together, and I'm super excited to have my first EP out there in a couple of weeks.
Because this EP, and correct me if I'm wrong, is more or less like you talking about yourself and basically putting things behind you and wanting to just have a better future. It's something like we're all really hoping for.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, both of those sentiments ring true. You know, the first thing that you mentioned is totally the way it happened. I was actually just writing for other EDM artists at the time in New York, Toronto, and LA. And, you know, I had, I think, 6 or 7 cuts at the time. And I started just writing a body of work. I think I wrote close to 1,000 songs. And out of those, there were a bunch that were just so me and so personal that I couldn't really let go of them. I couldn't really give them to other artists. And, a couple people said, why don't you try singing them as an artist yourself? And that's what I did. And so these 6 songs on the EP are definitely very specific to people in my life who are very important to me. And I think that, when you go that deep and personal into one person's life, I actually think that everybody can pick up on that and basically make it a cathartic experience and dedicate that song to somebody in their path. So that's kind of the hope that this EP, has for everybody listening.
The other thing is, too, which personally I don't think we've had for the last couple of years, even though some people feel that way, like I'm old school, and I mentioned this to another artist the other day, too. I don't feel like we've had a signature summer songs. This video and song that I checked out may just be the trick to do it for us. Can you talk about the song that begins with the letter U, please, and describe the video, too? Because to me it looks like it's a summer song. It's about having a good time.
The video is so fun to make, man.
And sorry, what's the song called?
Take Me Back. So that song is Unapologetic, and that's the last single that came out. It's basically the last single before the EP release. And so, I think it was released now almost a month ago. And I put it up on YouTube, and, before that, obviously recorded. And I got very lucky because I recorded the music video before COVID-19 really started to kick in. So I actually recorded it at the end of January, and I was living in Los Angeles before COVID-19 kicked in. So we ended up recording it on Venice Beach in Los Angeles, and then also on the Pacific Highway. And we got like a Lamborghini drop-top car. We got a Volkswagen Type 2 where the girl in the music video basically lives and sells jewelry out of. And it was one of the most fun days of my life. The model in the video has now become a friend of mine, and the crew that was filming, they've all become good friends. It's just kind of one of those days where everybody gets so close and has such a great time that you'll never forget that experience or those people.
And the song, to me, lyrically and everything else, too, it is, again, about let's enjoy life.
Totally. Well, so the video, goes along with the theme of the song. It starts with this girl who is very much unapologetic, who lives life to the fullest out of this van, this beautiful Type 2. And, the next day she's driving to sell her jewelry and her car breaks down. And some guy gets out of his car who's driving this white Lamborghini and, helping fix her flat tire. And she looks back at the car, notices that the keys are on the road by his jacket. And while he's not looking, she runs and takes the Lamborghini keys, hops into the car, and then drives off. And, she's coming to pick me up. I'm expecting her Type 2 Volkswagen, and I see this Lamborghini, and I go, what? And then, we drive it down the highway and pull over to the side of the road and do our thing, and she takes the keys and throws them into the ocean because that's just the way she is. So it's definitely a feel-good, fun type of song. The chorus is super simple and easy, so you can sing it out loud in the car wherever you're going. And it, hopefully it will be that summer song.
Getting riled up on your style, thinking about the way you play every girl, every guy. So unapologetic, fuck it. Getting riled up on your style, thinking about the way you turn up every single night. So unapologetic, fuck it.
It sounds like something that would have been filmed back in the 80s. And I'm just curious, man, were you a fan of the 80s music videos?
Oh, definitely. I'm a fan of 80s music, 80s culture, 80s everything. I mean, my music isn't necessarily, it doesn't sound like the 80s, but I also played in a synth pop band in New York. They're called St. Lucia, and they actually are pretty 80s influenced. So the 80s, it's taken a toll on me, and I think it subconsciously plays into the way that I film.
I love it, man. Look, live stream performances. Are you going to be doing any of that while we're on lockdown?
So I'm now trying to figure out what we're going to do as far as a tour. And, obviously at the moment, it's a little up in the air with phase 1 and phase 2 coming into play in, Ontario. Phase 1 now in Toronto, phase 2 in other parts of Ontario, and maybe phase 2 sooner in Toronto. So I'm in the middle of organizing an online type of tour where I'm going to be spaced out with my 2 other band members in a pretty big space. But again, if things start to open up sooner than later, then I might want to play some small venues because there's nothing like that intimate reaction with the crowd. You can't replicate it.
No, you can't. And I was just literally, before I spoke with you, I was talking to Brett Kissel a Canadian country artist and an amazing person who, as we speak this weekend, is doing a live performance on stage, but it's at a drive-in, and everybody gets to drive in. This is happening in Alberta, but they have to stay in their cars. And I'm hoping that this summer that maybe somehow Toronto will, or I should say Ontario, is going to be allowed to do the same thing, because at least we'll get live performances. You can't get out of the car, but, man, at least you can see the artist performing live. I think that'd be a great thing to do.
Yeah, talk about 80s. Then we're going back to the 50s.
You got that, my friend. Hey, look, for folks who need to know what's going on with you, social media is the place to go. Where do we go to follow you?
Yeah, so all my handles are at Mike Ruby Music. And I'm now on TikTok, and I'm on Instagram, and, Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, everything pretty much. Twitch. I mean, I think I've got them covered. Maybe there are a few I'm missing. I think there's a new one actually coming out.
Oh God, no.
First, yeah, it's called HVR, I believe. It hasn't dropped yet, but it's coming this summer, so I'll be on there too. But all my handles are at Mike Ruby Music.
I bow to you, man, because I can't handle all of them. I can just do a few, and that's it. They're just coming out way too fast on me. I'm old.
Totally, yeah. But I'm kind of the same way, Rudy. I have my one kind of favorite, which tends to be Instagram.
There you go.
And then I just do all the others too. I guess I'm doing more and more TikTok now because that song we were just talking about, Unapologetic, kind of went from 0 to 11. It went from literally 0 plays to now I think it's at 2 million in a week or two. So I'm definitely trying to get up on my TikTok game, but that's more just kind of watching and getting involved with people who are using my song.
2 million? Yeah, I think you got it down. I don't think you got anything to worry about. Hey, look, man, it's great talking to you. Glad that you're safe. Looking forward to hearing more music from you. And, man, I'm just hoping, like I've been telling everybody else too, I'm really hoping before the end of the year we can do another interview, but it will be on camera, one-on-one.
That would be terrific, Rudy.
You be safe, my friend. Thanks again, and we'll talk soon.
All right, thank you, Rudy. Bye.
Bye-bye.
So unapologetic, fuck it.